All right, welcome back everyone. Dr. Ben, not a real doctor here. And today we are talking about feet. So who gives a crap about feet, right? Well, I do, and I think probably you should too. And the main reason that we have to pay so much attention to feet is modern footwear. Modern footwear is not designed for the human foot. It squishes the toes. So basically it puts you in a position where your toes are curled back like this and your heel is raised up. So looking from the side here, it's something along these lines like this. It's not good for you long term, especially because it smashes your toes together like this. There's really no such thing as a bunion if you hear people complain about bunions. What it is a permanent dislocation of the big toe. And what the bunion actually is the end of the bone in your foot for your big toe. So there are a few things you can do to kind of reclaim your feet and make them strong and healthy and resilient. And the reasons you should do that are many. Our feet are foundations for our body. Literally everything else we do depends on healthy feet. Now we've outsourced a lot of that work to shoes, which, arch support, heels, they have a little rocker in them so your foot doesn't have to do the work of moving your body. But the reality is our feet should be doing all of this, and they need to do all this to be healthy. One of the first things that you need to do when you start trying to do more barefoot work or transition over to barefoot shoes is rehab your feet, because they are just not ready for the amount of effort that they're going to have to exert going over barefoot or barefoot shoes. So something that's really simple you can do that will help a lot, that doesn't require a whole lot of extra effort on your part, is wear some kind of toe spacers to spread out the bones in your feet and to spread out your toes and get a little bit more natural mobility into your feet. So I got a couple different versions here. These are correct toes. I've had a pair of these for a while. I've got some cardboard stuffed in here to get a little extra stretch on the big toe. And you can modify them however you need to make them work for you. And these, it's been a while since I've looked up. Doing my homework, right? I think these are called toe spacers, but I bought this pair from the Foot Collective, and I find that these stay on a little bit better than the correct toes, but they don't have different sizes, so it's harder to customize to your foot. Both of these can be worn inside shoes if you find shoes that are designed to accommodate them. And Correct Toes and the Foot Collective are two of my favorite resources. They have links for lots of stuff that work with these sort of toe spacers. The next thing you really need to focus on is stretching your calf. It seems kind of silly that we need to stretch our calves walking. People walk, right? That's what they do, and it should keep your calves stretched out. But the problem is modern footwear actually, even the most basic stuff called flats, still have a raised heel. Shoes, unless it's designed as a zero drop shoe, all have some sort of lift. If you look at girls' flip-flops, a lot of times, or like sandals, they'll have like a little tiny little piece of leather at the back for a heel, even though they're considered flats. So your calves are chronically shortened, and you're going to need to stretch those out. Otherwise, you can end up with quite a bit of pain, plantar fasciitis type stuff, when you transition over to barefoot. And the last thing I'm going to recommend you do today is take control of your feet and start learning to use your toes. Specifically, I'm going to focus in on the big toe, because the big toe is incredibly important to the way you move. It's actually the driving force of your walk. So if you don't have active control over your big toe, you're probably using your feet like big blocks, because your brain forgets how to control your toes because you're not using them all the time. They've been mushed, they've had the blood flow cut off from laces and tight shoes. So you're gonna have to go out of your way to learn how to use your big toe again. Sounds silly, but I promise it will make a big difference if you take the time to do this. This is sort of an ongoing process. I've been barefoot for years, and I'm still working on it here and there. So take the time and attention, come up with a plan, and do that from the beginning. You'll make progress a lot faster, and you'll spend less time doing all these exercises in the near future. All right, so I'm gonna start with a calf stretch. This is just a quick overview of the calf stretch. I picked this up originally from Katie Bowman, the way she does this. She has a lot of great resources for this sort of thing. So if you want to explore beyond this video, you can look at my website or her website, or I also recommend the Foot Collective stuff. They got a lot of resources too. So Here I've just got a yoga mat rolled up because I like the yoga mat or a towel or something like this because you can make it whatever size you need it to be relative to the amount of stretch you're ready for. So I'm just gonna plop this down on the ground. And I'm gonna stand a good distance away from it initially, and I'm just going to put the ball of my foot up on top here. Now this is sort of the classic runner's stretch here. You see people like reaching out in front and stretching their calf. And normally they'll get more elevation out of the foot, but this is not an accurate representation of how the foot works as it goes behind you. So what you're gonna do is, as you need more stretch, you're going to walk this back foot forward to get more stretch along the calf. And as you're doing this, there are a few things you want to watch out for. Number one, watch your kneecap. You want to make sure that you're not contracting your kneecap and tensing up your quads. You want to try and keep this nice and relaxed as you stretch out your calf. If you get to a point where you're feeling a good stretch in your calf and you notice that your quads are locked out, try and relax your quads. If you can't relax your quads, back off the stretch a little bit and spend some time with less stretch till you get to the point where you can keep those quads nice and relaxed. If you can't pull your kneecap up, then your quads are locked out. So find a nice comfortable stretch, try and keep good posture, and just hang out for a while, 2 to 5 minutes. If you're stretching for like 30, 60 seconds, you're not really giving much stimulus for the body to adjust to. You'll get a very temporary relief, and then everything's gonna tighten right back up. Even better, when you're done with all this stretching, go for a short walk. It'll help reprogram the neurology, and your brain will learn to use that new range of motion, and then it won't tighten back up so much. And this is one of those things that you can do multiple times throughout the day. Don't do this like once for a couple minutes in the morning. If you have a free minute, jump in and stretch out your calves. They've been chronically shortened probably for most of your life. So it's gonna take some time to reverse that process. And this is gonna go a long way towards relieving a lot of knee pain, hip pain, lower back pain, ankle and foot pain. It can even alleviate neck pain. So if you're gonna do one stretch, this is sort of the one to do. It's also gonna be really important to knock this one out for transitioning over to barefoot. And then also remember to do the other side after you finish. Well, that was the left, so now we're doing the right. Also notice if one of these is tighter than the other, like my right calf and my right leg in general are significantly tighter than my left. So if you have a side that's a little bit tighter, maybe spend a little bit more time there. And also it can be a sign for you to look at what habits you're doing on that side of your body to shorten everything up more. All right, so that's a quick overview of a calf stretch. Let me show you a little exercise that I came up with to get more in touch with your big toe and develop more strength, mobility, and stability in that joint. All right, for the big toe exercise, you really want to get into a position that's relatively comfortable, doesn't take a lot of effort to maintain. I like this setup right here, you know, like the half closed bent sit. And the reason I like this is because I can kind of prop up here. I'm not holding myself up, and I can really focus on what the muscles in my foot and lower leg are doing. I say lower leg because a lot of what controls what goes on in your feet is also in your lower leg. You have muscles that are intrinsic to the foot, and then you have muscles that start up in the lower leg and travel down into the foot to do things. So I'm just gonna show on the left foot. I have a little bit more range of motion in my left foot. My right foot's tighter, so you'll be able to see what's going on here better. So I'm gonna set up just like this, and then we're gonna get started on the exercise. There's two parts to this exercise, and you're gonna wanna take your time and go nice and slow and get a feel for it. Otherwise, you're not gonna get much out of the exercise. So first thing you wanna do is just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and relax. You're gonna use a lot of focus on this. You're gonna take your time, move very slowly. It doesn't actually matter if the toe moves or not, but what you're feeling for is what muscles are contracting and relaxing while you're doing this. And we're focusing on the big toe. And you're gonna try to isolate your big toe from the other muscles in your foot, or the other toes in your feet. So big toe, other toes. So to start with, we're gonna practice pulling the big toe up. Now what I want you to do is focus on your big toe and very slowly as you can, start lifting your big toe up off the ground. Now as you lift, pay attention to what muscles are contracting. You may feel something across here going up around the outside of the foot, and you'll probably feel something across the inside of your arch here. If your other toes come up, that's okay. But if you're having a really hard time isolating, try doing even smaller movements. The smaller the better when you're first starting out. Remember, this is about teaching your brain what it feels like to work your big toe, because there's a good chance it's forgotten. So relax, nice deep breath, as slowly as you can. Lift your big toe up off the ground and lift it as high as is comfortable. Once you get there, as slowly as you can, lower your big toe back down to the floor and feel which muscles are relaxing. Do that one more time. As slowly as you can, lift your big toe off the ground. Remember, only go as high as is comfortable and try and keep the other toes on the ground. Now, as slowly as you can, lower your big toe back to the ground. Good. Now we're going to do the opposite, which personally I find harder. Maybe you'll have an easier time with this. We're going to try pushing the big toe into the ground. Now, you're probably not going to be able to see a whole bunch of motion on this. You'll see some contraction along the inside of my foot, and you'll see some pressure on my big toe. Again, we're trying to isolate from these other four. This is especially important when you're walking, because this is what is going to transfer the power from your calf to your foot and to the ground and drive you forward. So this one, really focus on pushing the pad of your big toe into the ground. So again, relax, nice and easy. And I want you to just try and put a little pressure from the pad of your big toe into the ground. And then slowly release that pressure and pay attention to what muscles are relaxing. Again, slowly apply pressure to the ground with the pad of your big toe. Try to isolate from the other four toes. Good. Now slowly release that pressure. And once you're comfortable with both of that movements, you can go back and forth between the two. So lift. Release down. All right, now pressure into the ground. And release. All right, now that can be beneficial to do with toe spacers in if you have enough range of motion to move your toes with them in. I find the toe spacers over the correct toes work a little better for that, but you use your preference. But those are a few things you can do to start transition away from transitioning away from conventional, very structured footwear to more barefoot time or barefoot shoes. Remember, calf stretching and getting control over your big toe are going to be instrumental to foot health and really a healthy, natural gait. Anywho, that's what I've got for you today. If you guys like this content and would like to see more about transitioning over to barefoot, hit me up in the comments down below. If you like the video, smash the thumbs up. If you know somebody who could use this, share the video with them. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. Also coming out soon, a new episode of the Feral Human Podcast. Links down below for that website. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep your life in motion.